What's going on? Let's get started here. We got a huge slate of MTEs mixed in with an added board, mixed in with some regular non-conference games. It's important to distinguish between the three, excuse me. And we got some fucking serious bangers to start the day. We'll start off from the top. I'm going to talk about the games up until about 6 o'clock Eastern, and then I'm going to stop because by that time we should be at game time. Excuse me, I've only had one bong hit this morning, and it was just now. So I've been up since I went to sleep for 3 hours. So I am not trying to look pretty or any of that kind of shit. I don't give a fuck about that. I just want to talk some college basketball, and let's get to this money. All right. East Carolina and Toledo. Listen, what we saw from UMKC's defense against Toledo early in that game yesterday was something that Toledo has to have in their back of their mind. Like, we cannot get off to a start like we did yesterday, chasing. Then when they were able to actually get a 5-point lead going into halftime, they came out like they came out in the beginning of the first half. So Toledo needs a full, stronger performance. That's without saying. I just don't like the points against this ECU team. Like, we know, excuse me, ECU is going to be a little lackadaisical in first halves from what we've seen so far this year. But when the second half comes and those halftime adjustments come, that's when we start to see Felton and Small and freaking Brandon Johnson start to take over. So I want to approach it the same way. I think that we're going to see overs in the game. I like that the lines move 3 points in our favor. I like the over there, and I think that Toledo early, East Carolina late with East Carolina's team total is a nice little 4-pack if you're just betting on this game. Illinois State, Western Kentucky. I'll make it real quick. I'm on Western Kentucky. I liked what I saw in Illinois State in the second half, but if they don't bring that for 40 minutes, then you know what's going to happen. Western Kentucky let me down yesterday. The three-point shooting was not there. Akron's defense is on a different level compared to Illinois State. So I would say that we are going to see a better offensive output from Western Kentucky today. With it being an early start, yeah, it's definitely difficult to want to take Western Kentucky in this spot, but I'm going to do it. I just think that this is going to be a 10-point win for Western Kentucky. A nice situational rebound spot. All right, Grand Canyon in Northern Iowa. Now, I don't understand why Grand Canyon is this big of a favorite. Yes, I know that Nate Heisey's out, but we saw that that Betts had a freaking career game yesterday. We saw different guys stepping up. And with Anderson and Bourne and some of these guys that want to get to the rim, like, I do think that they're going to have an easier time doing that against Grand Canyon. Now, if they can get their shots off and hit their shots early, well, we know Grand Canyon cannot score. They want to play this game in the 50s. They do not want to get this game into the 60s. I can tell you that. This offense I thought would be a lot better, but it's still a major work in progress. And in this game, if Northern Iowa can carry over what they did in the first half for San Francisco and not what they did in the second half, then I do think that we have another live dog here with Northern Iowa. I personally think that the under in the first half is the better way to go. Play the first half under, see what type of scoring pace you're getting from Grand Canyon, because we know Northern Iowa can play both ways. It's a matter, can Grand Canyon elevate their scoring right now on the road outside of the Havoc? And even though they got some fucking students that have traveled with them, I'm not really sold on it. All right. Austin P. Bucknell. This is an added board game. I'm going to be real fucking brief on this because obviously none of you really give a shit about this game. But Austin P. versus Bucknell should be a real interesting game because think about it. Bucknell had a fucking nice lead going into halftime. Presbyterian made some really nice adjustments. Almost came back and tied it at the half, and then Bucknell fell apart in the second half. So only being able to win that game by one, having a lead, coughing up that lead multiple times. If you do that versus Austin P, I don't think it's going to turn out that well for you. Now, Austin P's defense in the second half, their first half to second half performance is what I'm hoping that they can carry over. Hold on, it's my alarm. I don't know why it's always set for fucking 10:18. I'm always up way before that, so I gotta fucking throw that thing against the wall after. I just think that with Austin P, if you let up, then they're going to take over. They're not going to stay at the three-point line unless those three-point shots are dropping. With Elijah Hutchins-Everett, with Carlos Paez, with Stone Caleb Carawell, like these are experienced collegiate players that played with Scary Terry Taylor. They're used to winning. I expect them to win this game against Bucknell today unless we see Xander Rice or freaking Andre Screen go off for 25 points. So I like Austin P in this game. I think that we get an extended late game fouling, and I do think that we get this game to go over. So I'm rolling with Austin P. All right, Northern Illinois, Sam Houston. That's a noon game. So we have 3 11 a.m. games. We have 3 12 p.m. games, then we have 3 1, and then 3 2. So, yeah, you see where we're going. It's not going to be freaking – you're going to be able to fit all these games on your screens at the same time, which is what I like because I hate having to split screen games. I don't care to watch 4 games on the same monitor if I don't have to. So, that would be nice. Be nice. I need to set up like my guy Ramon Scott has with fucking all his monitors on the wall, but I face out of the wall, so I can't do that. I don't have a wall right here that I can build. Block my TV in my walkway. All right, Northern Illinois, Sam Houston State. Listen, the best of the under is gone. No, it isn't. It's actually raised up. I think that this is a under game. I think that Sam Houston State's perimeter defense is really going to keep Northern Illinois on the perimeter. If Northern Illinois cannot hit threes, then they're in trouble. I personally think that this is a game that if Sam Houston State wants to win by 20 points, then they can. From an offensive perspective, they have to win with defense because they're not winning games with their three-point shooting. It's been abysmal. But when you can go into Utah, when you can go into Oklahoma and beat these teams, it's all about do you want it? Do you want it? And if they want it, they are going to have it. With fucking Q Grant, with fucking Javion May. Who else do they have? Tristan Ikpe, fucking Lamar Wilkerson. Like, all these guys are fucking able to take care of business when it's fucking necessary. Obviously, with Wilkerson, he's gotten some extra experience, but we need him from the three-point line. We need everybody else to score inside. Get to the free throw line more. Convert some more of these goddamn free throws. Oh, I want ladies of the night, C. James. I want ladies of the night badly. Yeah, it's been a roller coaster 3 days. I was up, I was down, I was up. It's been a live betting fucking murder. I've been getting myself killed live betting. I gotta fucking do something different live betting. Oh, God, man. Yeah. I need ladies of the night badly. I always need them. Fluid extractions are always building up, and we always need to fucking let that shit bazoom. And you don't want to be doing it yourself. That's all. You just don't want to be doing it yourself. That's just not cool. It's not cool at all. All right, getting back to the game. Yeah, I just think that Northern Illinois is going to have some major problems being able to get their offense going against this superior defense. Now, they bring some good defense in on their own, but when you're a 51% free throw shooting team, those free throw misses will come back and haunt you. It's just going to happen. So I'm not going to take a team to be able to cover a number like this at 11 points unless I know that they can freaking connect from all 3 levels and hit their free throws to make this game, keep this game close. Otherwise, it just happens what happened in their last game. They were competitive in the first half versus Georgia Tech, and then Georgia Tech lit them up because they couldn't hit threes, they couldn't hit side the arc, and they weren't hitting 75% of their free throws. It's not that hard. I go to the gym every day and hit free throws. Like, if my short, fat ass can do it, then these athletic, skilled, tall people can do it too. I don't fucking get it. It makes me fucking crazy. All right. Eastern Michigan and Fort Wayne. Now, this is a real interesting game because it's all about Eastern Michigan. Eastern Michigan loves to rise to the occasion. I think that they're a team that look at what's going on with the line because whenever they're an underdog, they seem to come back, take care of business. Michigan, Oakland, Bradley was a little bit of a slip up, but going into Bradley versus their defense versus their pick and roll offense, it's guaranteed not to work out. Now, Fort Wayne is no slouch, but the key for Eastern Michigan is penetration, not sexual penetration, basketball in the paint penetration, getting into the paint, getting that goddamn money, all right? Getting to the free throw line where you're a baller. Now, I love that this line opened at 7. I wish that I could have got it then. I did not. I did take it at 5. I did miss a 5.5 also, which also pissed me off. But at the end of the day, this is an Eastern Michigan team that has a solid core that you can rely on when it comes to Amani Bates, who's playing fantastic basketball, Noah Farrakhan, who just has a nose for getting to the rim, and Jalen Billingsley, who on the defensive aspect can be a little bit of a work in progress, but his three-point shooting has been awesome. When you have Tyson the Cuff, Amani Bates, and Billingsley all hitting over 50% from the three-point line early in the season, that bodes well for me as an underdog. That bodes well for me on a team total, and that bodes well for me on the full game over. I think that Eastern Michigan comes to fuck with their eyes open today. I don't think that they're going to be closing them. And I respect the line move going from 152 to 156 all the way up to 158. I got 3 books on my fucking screen right now that are showing me different numbers. And that's what you got to do if you're a college basketball bettor. You got to have 3 books that have different numbers. Not give you the best bonus, not the best boost, not the best points if you lose bets. None of that garbage. You need different fucking lines. And I try to tell people that all the time. They just don't get it. So I don't care anymore, buddy. So we'll move on. We'll talk about different game. I do think that Eastern Michigan is going to have, I'm not going to call it a walk in the park, but they are going to be able to compete with this Purdue-Fort Wayne team. Now, Purdue-Fort Wayne has played pretty tough. They do have the common opponent in Michigan, and against what I would call top-tier opponents, we have not seen them be able to connect from an efficient rate from the three-point line. We haven't seen them be able to get enough opportunities at the rim, and getting to the free throw line just hasn't been something that they've been able to do, even though they're a good free throw shooting team historically. I think that the biggest problem for their offense right now is just not having the best of Jared Godfrey right now. You know, I think that when he's hot from 3, that's when this team is very good. He's not hot from 3 right now. He's 5 for 19 to start the season. And you need better three-point shooting from him specifically if you're going to be able to freaking cover this number for Purdue-Fort Wayne backers. And I'm just not convinced that's the case. So for me, I'm looking at Eastern Michigan, and I think that Eastern Michigan can take advantage of a Purdue-Fort Wayne team that is not shooting 3 well, is not converting 50% of their buckets, and isn't getting to the free throw line at a high rate. So it seems like a good matchup for them. And if Eastern Michigan plays shitty defense, then that means more possessions. That means Eastern Michigan team total over may have some value depending on what number it's at right now. Sacred Heart versus NGIT. Listen, when Sacred Heart's at home, that is a team that I expect to score. That is a team that I expect to win by multiple buckets. There is no questioning that this NGIT, sorry, God damn it. All right, that will not happen again. I've disabled it. All right, I just think that when you look at Sacred Heart at home, that's just a different animal. It doesn't matter that they're playing a shittier level of competition. When they're in front of that home crowd, their point output just freaking skyrockets. And I will definitely show some love and respect to what NGIT has on their roster. Kevin Osawe, a fellow Canadian of mine. Raheem Sullivan, a fellow Canadian of mine. I like my fellow Canadians. I just don't think that they're going to be able to cash for me in this situation. I think that Paul McMillan had a lot of freaking buzz about him, but aside from shooting from the free throw line, he has been useless. I saw him connect some free throws the last game that they played. I just wasn't impressed with what I was seeing. You need Miles Coleman to have big offensive outputs. He's taking a lot of shots. He's getting to the free throw line a ton, but nothing is clean. Nothing's efficient. He's not hitting 70% of his free throws, and he's had 35 attempts already this year. So it just doesn't sound like this is an NGIT team that can go into a very hostile environment from a personnel perspective and see, well, can we keep Sacred Heart off the free throw line? Can we stop them from getting into the paint and running on us? That's the biggest question. I think that they're not going to be able to. I think we're going to see Sacred Heart get into the kind of scoring tempo that we saw against Columbia, and I think that we're going to see them finish in the type of spread that we saw them play against Hartford. Now, they only have the one game at home. I just think that when you go up against NGIT versus Columbia, with Columbia being at the rock bottom, yeah, I'm good with Sacred Heart. So I like Sacred Heart first half. I like them full game. And I'm going to get on their team total after I'm done doing this shit. That's how I look at it. So rolling with Sacred Heart first half full game. Brian Kennedy's team may be better a little later in the year. I just don't think that they got it today. Akron versus LSU. Listen, I'm going to continue betting against LSU. I don't know what it is. I just don't like what I see out of this team. They had a good game yesterday. I'll give it to them, but they definitely faded in the second half. They had a drought of like 4 or 5 minutes where they were on 68 points and could not get to 74. So I'm just not thinking that after watching Akron destroy me yesterday against Western Kentucky, that this is a team that they're going to be able to do the same shit to. Now, the one thing that bodes well for LSU is the fact that Akron is just terrible at the free throw line. Love to go 1 for 2. But with Enrique Freeman and that long hair, you know, it is hard for anybody on this LSU front court roster to stop him. And with him playing his best basketball, 67% inside the arc, and getting to the line already 22 times, you know, that's a big deal. You're going to need, obviously, Xavier Castaneda to have a standout offensive game from the perimeter, but this is a three-point shooting team that needs to get better, and they'll have to do it against LSU because LSU will go into the paint a ton versus you today. Now, the best way for Akron to win this game, or at least to keep this game close for 40 minutes, is literally you got to fucking D up. You got to slow the possessions down. You got to take away the three-point shot, and you got to be able to convert on your high percentage looks near the rim. If Akron does that, then this game is close. If not, Akron gets blown out. That's how I look at it. Let me get a drink. All right, Northern Kentucky, UTA. I'm rolling with Northern Kentucky in this spot. What I watched from UTA, they had spurts, but they're playing too many guys, and I'm not seeing the continuity and chemistry that you need to be playing that amount of people. I think that Northern Kentucky got blown out by a Florida Gulf Coast team that on paper should have been a much closer game. I think that they bring a better performance today than they did yesterday. And I'll just say this, you know, it's always about two things from a personnel perspective. What you're getting out of Marquise Ward and what you're getting out of Sam Vincent. You need Sam Vincent from the three-point line. You need Ward to be able to score inside. With a long wing like that, these are your two most important players. And the problem is Vincent's not shooting the three. Warwick is not shooting inside the arc at a high enough percentage. And these are guys that the ball's in their hands a ton. So I think that we're getting a bit of a discount. I would have had this number closer to 10. UTA has to prove to me. And I think that situationally, if I was going to choose one of the teams to back, I would have to be back in Northern Kentucky because on paper they are the better defensive efficient team. So we're gonna see if that comes to the truth. But as long as Northern Kentucky can chase UTA off the 3-point line, I do think that their rim defense and their ability to guard without fouling is going to be at the forefront if they cover today. So I'm anticipating a much better defensive effort from Northern Kentucky, and I do think that we see something similar from UTA. All right, Wichita and San Francisco. This is a game where I took Wichita because of the number, but this is a complete coin flip game to me. I don't really like Wichita, but they really fucking put me down yesterday. San Francisco, they were able to really just hit threes in the second half when they weren't in the first half. And if Wichita could take away that 3-point shot from San Francisco today, then they can win this game. But if San Francisco is able to score from the 3-point line for at least 20 minutes of it, then yeah, that's not going to work out well for Wichita. So a much bigger step up in competition today from Grand Canyon. And I'm hoping from my bet perspective that Wichita is able to fucking deliver, but I'm not holding my breath on it. Louisville and Texas Tech, we've seen this line go up 3 points. With respect, I do think that it's the right move. I would have had this game at 16, and that's not even factoring in Louisville's second half performance versus Arkansas. So I do think that Texas Tech is in a situation where their defense is at the forefront. Their defensive front court can handle Louisville's length up front with Withers and Sidney Curry and whatever else they're going to run out there. I just don't like this Louisville team. I fucking drank the Kool-Aid on them yesterday, got burned twice. I'm not going to be burnt again. I took Texas Tech on the opener when I fucking saw it. And I'm just going to roll with Texas Tech to have a much easier time against this Louisville team than they did against Creighton yesterday. South Dakota versus LIU. If there was ever a game that South Dakota can actually blow somebody out, this would probably be the game. LIU is not good at basketball, and South Dakota has not been shooting the basketball well. So I do think that is something that can improve. When you play Mississippi State and Wisconsin, that is definitely going to put a damper on your numbers. But when you were able to play somebody that wasn't ranked in the top 50, you were able to score 80-plus points. So I love this matchup. I think that this is a great matchup for South Dakota to put a whooping on LIU. Listen, LIU's been a team that I really liked in the past. That is not the case anymore. I think that with AJ Plitzwith back and fucking Paul Bruns getting some more minutes, Cruz Perro Hunt is obviously a beast. I can't remember if he's from New Zealand or Australia, but I saw him playing international basketball, and he's fantastic. A great mid-range jump shot. Love that. Something that we don't see very often. The only big concern for me is just that the 3-point shot hasn't been dropping for anybody but AJ. Perro Hunt's 1 for 11. Paul Bruns is 3 for 11. I do think that needs to fucking pick up today. But against LIU, you should be able to do that. I don't think that should be a major issue for you. With LIU losing freaking Rivera, losing Conte, they lost just so many pieces. And I just don't see the production there, especially if Trey Wood isn't going to play today. I don't know if Trey Wood actually plays today. If Trey Wood doesn't play, this is a very young team that can't hit a three, doesn't appreciate the art of making their free throws. It's South Dakota or pass for me on it. So I won't talk any longer on it. Doesn't seem like that difficult of a spot to decipher. Southern Miss versus Winthrop. Now, this is a dangerous game for a Winthrop backing just because it's not on Winthrop's home court. And Southern Miss really opened my eyes to what I should have already known. When you go out and get Felipe Haase, when you go out and get freaking Nectali Alvarez from Mercer, you have fucking Austin Crowley, you have DeAndre Pickney, you have Mo Arnold from Jacksonville. These are some guys that know how to fucking do what they got to do. If the 3-point shot isn't dropping, What are they going to do? They're going to work the baseline. They're going to work the inside the paint. They're going to get high percentage looks. And that's what they do well. They're good at the free throw line. And Southern Miss has shown already this year that they're able to get out to a lead and keep that lead. Very key when you're playing on a neutral court where we see a lot of tails of two halves. They're going up against a Winthrop team that I think is not as offensively talented as we've seen in the past. And I just think that if we can do, if I'm talking as a Southern Miss guy, if we're talking about Southern Miss, we need to freaking shore up our three-point shooting. We need to freaking get to the free throw line to hit 80%, and you need to slow Winthrop down. Now, Winthrop with freaking their offense, listen, they're gonna pride themselves on speeding you up and then kicking it out to the three-point line. That's been something that's worked really well for them. But with their last two opponents, it just didn't work out on the defensive end. That's been their biggest issue. Offensively, they've been able to take care of business. It's defensively that the biggest concern is. So for me, I think that this is a Winthrop team that's going to have some struggles with Southern Miss today. I think that if Southern Miss can score inside at a high rate, get to the free throw line, and take away some of those rim attack opportunities for Winthrop, it's going to force them to the three-point line, and that's where they're going to have to get all their offense, and that will not work out for them in the end, in my opinion. I'm going to roll with Southern Miss, even though Winthrop is in a pretty must-win situation. The only game that they won was a game that they should have won against Middle Tennessee and against Penn, against fucking Auburn, against fucking Mercer. They just weren't able to play defense. So I think Southern Miss gets into the 70s today, and I think Southern Miss wins the game. Just trying to find it on my sheet right here. As far as the total, right on freaking 70 or 71, any higher, and I would look to pass on it from a team total perspective. Ben, yeah, I think that the under is definitely the way to go if you're looking at Akron. LSU, if they're going to win this game by 5 or 6 points, I do think that they're going to have to score a bit more, but with the way that LSU was able to score yesterday in the last 5 or 6 minutes of the game, not the first 5 or 6 minutes of the second half, I don't know. They're playing a much better defensive team in Akron. I'll give them that. I would go with the under. It's not one of my bets, but definitely something that I like. All right, now that I can get my head back in the game. Georgia versus UAB. Now, UAB obviously had a little bit of struggles defensively with South Florida. I think that South Florida is one of these teams that like to play up to the competition. That's what their pattern has been so far this year. And I just think that with UAB, anything under 10 points is always going to be something that I'm going to be looking at them at. I think that at 7 or 8 points, whatever it's at right now, I do think that it's good. It's still a good play for UAB. Georgia definitely had a very good first half against St. Joe's yesterday, but I can't say that they played a good full 40 minutes. They did be able to clamp down and extend that lead into double digits at the end, but now you're going up with a much better level of competition, a much deeper team, a more experienced team. Don't forget that St. Joe's, even though they have Cam Brown, Eric Reynolds, they still want to run out Christian Winborn and Lynn Greer, who are underclassmen, even though they have the COVID year. I think that with UAB, they're going to have a much different test defensively and tempo-wise to keep them out of the paint. Now, with this, with this Georgia team, keeping them off the free throw line is definitely key. Doing a good job of chasing them off the three-point line and then making every shot that they take inside the arc by the rim just a little more difficult, because chances are they will miss those shots. This is just a very clean offensive team for UAB. I do think that they get into the 80s. If their team total is under 80, that's something that I'll be on today. I have not looked at the number yet. I think that when you shoot 55% plus from the field, 75% from the free throw line, and 35% from the three-point line is just a recipe for covering numbers. And I just think that this is a line that is just a couple points short. So I'm rolling with UAB to bring Georgia back down to earth and let everybody know that Mike White is not a great coach. Let's talk about Holy Cross. No. Hampton, no. Fuck those games. Cincinnati, Ohio State. Now, I hate to be the recency bias type of guy, but it does seem like Ohio State may have a little bit of trouble with Cincinnati today. This is an improved Cincinnati offense. This is a Cincinnati team that definitely rose to the occasion last night. And most importantly, they got the backdoor cover. So if this game, like I anticipate, is going to be close, then I'm rolling with Cincinnati in this spot, taking the points and anticipating that they play until no time is left on the clock like they did against Arizona. Seems like a solid theory. We're talking about two teams that are power ranked in a similar range. So there isn't some drastic freaking power ranking advantage for either team in our view. This is an efficient team on the glass. Doesn't turn the ball over in the half court. Free throw shooting leaves a little bit to be desired. We just have to hope that they don't give us a Northern Kentucky game. So that's the one fear with betting Cincinnati, is that they just lay a complete dud. I'm going to roll with them full game. I think that Ohio State is a good team. I like them better against the styles and tempos that you're going to see in the Big Ten, more so than you're going to see in this conference, in this Maui Invitational. I have to remember the names of the tournaments sometimes. All right, Rhode Island, Tulane. Simply, I'm on Tulane in this spot. What I watched against Rhode Island and Kansas State yesterday is just not suitable for me to back Rhode Island unless they're playing a lower tier competition. They hit 2 of 12 from 3. That's not going to do it. You're not going to stay in games like that. Your defense is not good. Your free throw shooting is average. You don't have good rim protection on the defensive end. You're running out guys that are, in my opinion, are not experienced enough. And with your guard situation and how backlogged that is, finding the good minutes for Ishmael Leggett, for Braden Freeman, for Jalen Carey is just it's like a Rubik's Cube. Who's going to get hot? Who's going to have the hot hand? Who's going to get the minutes? It's a problem for me. So for me, it's Tulane or nothing. Jalen Cook may not be playing. I do think that it doesn't matter in this game. It mattered yesterday. That's why I was on Nevada. I don't think it matters today. Indiana State, UMKC. I'll be real quick on this game. I love Indiana State's ability to go to the rim, run on a make, run on a miss. They're going to have to do that versus UMKC because UMKC is going to want to slow them down. UMKC finally showed me that they can score, that they can take it to an opponent. Indiana State better come out with their best fucking work or UMKC may upset them. I think that this is another game where you got to fucking now look at UMKC a little more seriously. And I think that with Indiana State, I want to take their team total over versus a team that our perception is going to be able to lock them down defensively. So we're not going to have to get a number in the 80s. And then we're going to be able to get a number that is under 150 for the over. So I like Indiana State over. I like Indiana State team total over. And I like UMKC on the spread. Canisius and Cornell, I like the over, but the numbers move too much. So I'll just pass on that. Auburn and Bradley, I want to take Bradley. I really do. But something about this game just says Auburn's going to press. Auburn's going to turn Bradley over in their own in the backcourt. I just don't like the defensive matchup for Bradley in this game. Now, don't get me wrong, with Jashawn Henry, he's a fantastic Canadian. I just don't think that it's enough. I think Auburn has their way with Bradley today. Sad to say, but I think it happens. Arkansas State and UT Martin, I got nothing on it. I have to look more into that game. And the last game I'm going to talk about before I bounce out of here is going to be Cal State Bakersfield versus Texas A&M Corpus Christi. I think that Corpus Christi rocks out with their cock out today. I like this team. I've always liked this team. Now, their free throw shooting is fantastic. They just need to get there more. They're solid inside the three-point line and outside of it. Their three-point defense doesn't leave a lot to be desired. It's fantastic. And they've been able to show, they've been able to show me at least over the last 2 years that this group has good continuity, good chemistry, understand their roles, and understand how to get themselves into the best scoring positions. I think that Corpus Christi wins this game with defense, with dominating on the glass, especially when you have Isaac Mushila. I just love the experience of this Corpus Christi team. And I just think that against Bakersfield, who has to play a game that's low scoring, it just doesn't bode well for them. I think that we see this Texas A&M Corpus Christi team score above 70 points, and I think that they cover the number. So I'm rolling with them first half, and I'm rolling with them full game. All right, that is about it for me. Those are all the games up until 6 p.m. Eastern. Aside from that, I don't really want to talk for that much longer because I want to go get these games set up on my screens for 11 a.m. So let's roll. Let's fucking have a good day. We're starting off with, I think, 3 games. No, 2 games. 2 games and then 1 game at 11:30. Yes, that's the Sam Houston State game. Sorry, I'm just double checking. Oh, that's 12 o'clock game. That starts at 12. Oh, it's the Northern Iowa. Okay. All right, 2 games to start. Seeing Western Kentucky now as high as a 10-point favorite. Seeing the number as low as 134.5. Toledo is now a 12-point favorite, and the total is at 154.5 or 155. Yes. Sports Interactions. All right, well, I'm going to fucking let you guys go from now. Hopefully we do some more freaking winning and less of me getting served cock soup. And that's about it. So we'll see what happens. C. James, I am not going to do any live streams during games. I may do a live stream for Patreon for a second half. Not for first half because I seem to get a little out of touch with my live betting, and it's hard for people to live bet in-game and get the same number as me. So with all the books that I can use, I can always have 3 books that have a line difference of 1.5 points to 2.5 points. But I would be interested in doing a second half one, especially if it's a low-scoring first half. If it's a low-scoring first half of a game, then I'm more willing to do a live stream for the second half because then I'm on the over. So my guy Jesse told me about these second half over systems that he uses. So I've been trying to learn them and hopefully use them. But that's about it. All right. Take care. Fuck with your eyes open. Love those ladies of the night. And if you're going to eat some fast food, eat chicken tenders and dip them in honey. Not honey mustard, for God's sake.